God is a safe house for the battered, a sanctuary during bad times. The moment you arrive, you relax. You're never sorry you knocked. Psalms 9:10, the Message version.
I've got the incredible Riley Clemmons here in studio with me. Riley, so good to have you again.
So good to be back.
Now, you have a rather busy schedule while you're here in Australia. How many shows are you doing all up in your time here?
You know what? I don't even know. We're doing a lot of different types of shows. We've done some sweet acoustic times when songs and stories.
I love those.
The heart behind it and where they came from and what God was doing during that time and the lessons learned. And also I've had the opportunity to do some workshops where I've gotten to share a bit about the process and being a vocalist and being a writer. Gotten to visit some schools and see some of Australia's youth, which has been such a lovely time. So we're doing everything.
Yeah.
Genuinely packing as much in as we can while we're over here.
Oh, so glad that you also packed in this as well. And I'm so excited about this verse because, Riley, I know that for a lot of individuals, they specifically listen into this podcast because they need hope. And I think that's my first impression of this verse. It gives me hope. There's so many beautiful words in here that jump out. Safe house, sanctuary, relaxation. You're never sorry you knocked. This verse just says to me, just come inside. Don't worry about taking off your shoes. Just sit there. I'll make you a cup of coffee. You're safe here. That's my first impression. What about you?
It's so good. You know, I immediately jump to a personal experience that I've had that comes to mind even reading this verse. I mean, we'll just dive right in and go to the vulnerable place. But at the top of 2022, the beginning of the year, I was in a really tough place with my mental health. I was super depressed. It was the hardest time I'd ever walked through. I started having panic attacks and things that were fairly new to me, and overall just felt a serious lack of identity. I realized that so much of it was coming from putting so much stock into what I felt like I should be doing or how I felt I would be enough based on the approval and thumbs up from the world, from charts and data and social media and all of the things. And it left me in such a broken place. And through that season, I felt such a kindness from God. And there was such a clear direction in Him telling me at the beginning of 2022 that I needed to take a step back from music. I needed to figure out how to not feel so burnt out anymore. And I felt a very, very, very affirmed, clear voice saying that he was going to take care of that and get me through it. And so when I see words like safe house for the battered, I think of that season of burnout. I think of the depression. I think of sanctuary during bad times. I mean, all of these things. I think that so often, depending on whether you've been a Christian your whole life, whether the idea of God and Jesus are very new to you, I think that it's easy to have this belief that the idea of God is this big deity that's wagging a finger when we mess up and needs us to be braver and better so that we can be good Christians. And yet, I've experienced God in the most profound way in my life in the past 2 years. And a lot of that has been through, again, the empathy that He has met me with in hard times. And that's when I've truly gotten to experience what it means for Him to be a place and source of soul rest.
Yeah. And I think for you as well, being a performer, being someone who has to turn up for everyone else, you have to give. And your feedback loop is applause, it's praise, it's charts, it's data, like you said. To have a place where you can go and you don't actually have to be anything.
Yes.
I remember once someone saying to me, you do know that you don't have to achieve anything in order for God to love you. Like,
so
He cannot love you any more, any less. It's ultimate. It's in this moment here for you. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to clean up your house for it. You don't have to pray for 20 minutes before God turns up in your life.
So good.
He is there. And I think that's something that I really get from this verse. And, going back, thank you so much for being so vulnerable about the time. Like, can we talk about panic attacks for a sec? Because, they were new for me as well. And the first time I had one, I thought I was dying.
Yeah, not good, not good.
Yeah, no. And then you just kind of think, what's going on? Every single body function, it's not operating. And you just you get out of yourself a little bit. I actually had one yesterday where and I had to step out for a little bit. And I think the thing that I feel immediately in that moment is a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety. And then afterwards, a bit of shame around the weakness of it. I'm just like, how can I...
So real. That is so real.
It's like everyone else seems to be holding it together. Why is this little thing kind of getting to me? Have you ever felt that way after one of those?
Of course. I mean, something that I struggle with that I find often takes me to that place of panic is just sensory overload. When it's just so many things. And, you know, I am a type A ambitious girl. I want to get stuff done. I want to move.
I can relate. Oh, yeah.
I want to, I have a to-do list and I want to move through it. And I have to be very productive and I'll feel good about myself that day if I've been productive and blah, blah, blah. The list goes on. And I have found that there have been so many moments, you know, the feeling of your heart rate speeding up and being so overwhelmed and gasping for breath and not being able to pinpoint what's wrong. I think that's been the biggest thing that I've learned too. And in those moments, it is just this overwhelming reminder that, whoa, you can't do this in your own strength.
Yeah.
And I think that the thing that's so important to me as a young Christian woman specifically is communicating the vulnerabilities and imperfections and weaknesses that come along with being a human in general. And reaffirming the truth that does not disclude you from the love of God. That the imperfection does not exclude you from being a good, faithful person of God.
Yeah.
And, you know, so many people I know have suffered from panic attacks and feelings of anxiety and feelings of overwhelming depression and the dark cloud that kind of hangs over your head. And they're some of the most incredible examples of people who love Jesus.
Yeah.
So, I hope that encourages somebody who happens to be listening that, like you said, that is overwhelmed by the feelings of, can I not hold it together?
Yeah, I think that's the question that runs through my mind. Like, how can everyone... And then I step into the comparison trap. I don't know if you do that as well.
Oh, just as a side hustle.
I love it.
Yeah.
Just like seems like everyone else has got this together. And I love what you said before is that, first of all, communicating it. I think in order to communicate it to others, communicating it to those that you love, probably those that you work with, and being able to communicate that to yourself, you got to do the work. You got to stop and actually say, okay, let me just be real with myself here. Where are my flaws? Where are the areas that I actually need support and need help in? And so was that a process you needed to go through with yourself? Because obviously you're in a place now where you've got an incredible team who support and love you. Got to meet them in the hallway a bit. They sound amazing. And they are there to nurture and protect and look after you. But there would have had to be a conversation at one point where you said to them, this is what I need actually. And these are the things that are possibly my areas of vulnerability. I need you to have my back in those areas.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, if there's any skill that I have had time to hone imperfectly at that, you know, it has been the honesty of really, really, really trying to be able to communicate what I need to be healthy. Because for a long time, again, it's just, you know, I'm young. I want to work hard. I want to prove to everybody that I can hustle like the rest of them, right?
Yep.
This work culture that I don't know what it's like here in Australia, but in America, it's pretty intense. And I imagine there's an extent to that everywhere. But, you know, at the beginning of 2022, when I was in that super low place, I felt that strong nudge from the Lord going, you have to stop. You can't create from depletion, at least not in a way that's going to make you feel fulfilled or in a way that's going to be healthy for you. And so I called my management, the label, agents, team, everybody. And it was the scariest thing I've ever done, but called them up and said, I'm not going to write for the rest of the year. And I'm just going to do the shows I've committed to. But other than that, I got to take a minute to just figure out how to feel okay being me again and how to feel like I'm enough without being clapped for, you know, without that feedback loop that an artist tends to thrive on, if we're being really honest.
Yeah.
And so I took that time away, and I, like Abraham, went up alone to be with God on the mountain. And there were moments of beauty and moments of fear and moments where I was terrified and moments when I was affirmed, and all of these things, such a range of emotion. But I think it is really important that no matter what your job is, no matter what you're filling your days with, no matter what you're passionate about, I am very blessed to have a team that I can look them in the face and go, I am overwhelmed.
Yeah. What a blessing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or I'm not doing well. Or either this is really working for me and this is awesome. Thank you. Or either, hey, can we try to find another solution for this? But yeah, communication's hard.
Yeah. But you went up that mountain. Yeah. You laid it down for a year. You did the work.
Oof.
And I love what you said. You can't serve out of depletion.
Mm-hmm.
And so for you listening right now, I hope that you're encouraged by Riley's story, because I think one of our biggest concerns is that if we go up that mountain, if we take that year off, if we lay that thing down, time's going to pass us by and we're going to never get back to where we're going. But from the music that I have heard you produce from your time up on that mountain,
mm-hmm.
your best is yet to come.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So kind. Thank you.
And for you listening as well, your best is yet to come. I hope that you got something out of today's conversation. Riley is going to be back again tomorrow, so look forward to catching up then.
See you then.